You're a new shooter, a more beginner shooter, and you want to know what exercises that I use with my new shooters that get them fast and accurate quickly? If so, you've come to the right place. What's up guys, my name is Rob Epifania. I'm a USPSA Grandmaster and I'm the owner of Systematic Performance Concepts. In this video, we're going to talk about some of the most effective exercises that I use with newer shooters. When I typically have a new shooter out for the first time, there's a specific set of things that I do in order to progress them from barely handled a gun, maybe you handled a gun a little bit in the past, or maybe you've shot some classes, but your fundamentals really aren't that great. This gets you dialed in, this gets you squared away, and this will get you hitting faster, more accurately than you have in the past. Very, very successful, and I'm going to give you the secrets now. All right, so when I work with someone for the first time who is relatively newer or wants to refresh the fundamentals, I usually take them through a couple of steps. The goal would be to have them with a proper grip, to have them pressing the trigger in a way that they're confident that they're not disturbing the gun, teaching them what they might be doing to disturb the gun, making them more comfortable with recoil and shooting faster, and then tying it all together with a nice little combination exercise. So first thing I do is I usually talk about grip with them. If you guys are interested, I've posted my whole entire grip series from my accelerator program in my YouTube channel, so you guys can go search that in my previous videos. Now, once we're done talking about that, the first exercise I usually have them do is called trigger control at speed. That exercise uses a beep from a timer to give us a little bit of haste, a little bit of time pressure to our shooting. Normally, when people dry fire their guns, they're very deliberate about pressing the trigger, which is not a problem in the very beginning. You want to be able to press the trigger straight without disturbing the gun. However, what happens when we get under some stress? Chances are we're going to tense up and we're going to try to press the trigger harder. So by adding a little bit of time pressure, we give ourselves the opportunity to learn how to press the trigger aggressively and to have our grip hold up to that pressure. How it works is we have the beep of a timer. This is 3 to 4/10 of a second long. Our goal is to have the trigger press completed by the time the beep is done. Our other goal is to have no movement in the gun when we press the trigger. That isn't related to you just holding the gun. The gun's going to move around, we can't stop that. However, what we don't want is when we press the trigger that there's a certain movement to one side or the other. Typically, for a right-handed shooter, it's low left. When we start aimed on target, and we could choose 3 different methods of working the trigger. First method could be that we fully prep to the wall. We take all the slack out, we prep to the wall, and we finish the trigger press. That's all we're doing, finish. Next level, so to speak, in terms of distance from the trigger. Finger touching the trigger face, but there's no slack removed. All we're going to do is we're going to press straight through, finish the press. That is the one I would recommend you guys do the most because that's the most likely situation that you're going to have. Number 3, if we want to challenge ourselves, we can bring our fingernail touch the trigger guard. Fingernail to the trigger guard here. All we're going to do is press straight through from there. This just adds a little bit of challenge. This is not something that I would do commonly in a match or any sort of stress shooting situation, but it's a good opportunity to challenge yourself that you're able to move the finger in a path that's very straight and hold the gun in a way that doesn't get disturbed when the trigger is pressed. Now, for other people, defensive-minded people especially, a 4th way to practice this is to practice this with your finger on the frame. So finger on the frame, when the beep goes off, bring the finger into the trigger and press. This way you get the opportunity to practice that sort of challenge, because that's commonly you're not, let's say God forbid you're in a fight, in a gunfight or whatever, let's say you had to present your firearm, you can't shoot until you've made the decision to shoot. right? So until you've made the decision to shoot, you shouldn't have your finger on the trigger. So that's just a great opportunity to practice from a defensive, home defense, concealed carry perspective. Let's demonstrate it here. First, we'll do a dry fire here. So my goal here, aim on target, and when the beep goes off, press the trigger. So from here, I'm touching the trigger face, press the trigger. Waiting for the beep. It's even better if you want, you could practice this strong hand only, you could practice the weak hand only. I have a full basic warm-up that's structured around this in my previous YouTube videos. You can search for basic trigger control at speed, follow along, and that should get you there. So aiming on target. Let's say I have no movement and I'm within the time, which I'm doing now. What can I do to make it harder? I can press the trigger harder, I can press the trigger faster, and I can add space. Those are the three things. Right now, I'm gonna just try to press the trigger harder, faster. Our goal is to find any sort of issue that happens. Really trying to press that hard. And you can see here, the gun is staying pretty still. Now, if you can press the trigger as hard as you want without the gun moving, and press it whenever you want without the gun moving, chances are your shooting is going to get better, right? Chances are you're not going to disturb the gun, chances are your grip is doing pretty well, and your shots are going to go where you want them to. Let's do it live. Now, we're going to aim on target in the same manner. When the beep goes off, press the trigger quickly and aggressively. I'm going to call out the times, I'll do a couple here. Here, aim on target. 0.19. A good goal is under a quarter second because it takes a quarter second to generally react to something and respond to it. The beep is 3 to 4/10 of a second long. So 0.19, that's a good start. Let's see if we can get a little sooner. 0.16, hey, that's pretty good. There we go. 0.19, 0.21. So we're able to make the shots accurately, quickly, under a little bit of time pressure. And guys, if you have about a 1-inch group over there, that means you can hit an 8-inch plate at 25 yards. So if you can do that, you're in good shape to start the next thing we're going to do. Another thing that I would take people through, after we go through the trigger control exercise, that gets you pressing the trigger aggressively without disturbing the gun to begin with. It's also testing your grip and seeing if you're doing anything to disturb the gun and recoil when you're trying to shoot fast. Something that's very useful that helps people in this is I tell them to just consume their mind with the beginning of that timer beep. The beginning of that timer beep, if you consume your mind with it, chances are you're not going to be able to think about anything else, and it's going to help your performance because you're just moving your finger with consuming your conscious mind with the beep. Really, really helpful for anybody who's having a struggle. If your times are above a quarter of a second per shot, that's something that'll help you right there. After we do that, the reason why I do that first also is because it starts to set the tone for the rest of the session in terms of what we're trying to accomplish. For a newer shooter, something that would be important, whether it's defensive or competitive, performance, whatever you want to call it, something that's important is being able to deliver accurate hits from the presentation. By presentation, I mean I've brought the gun out to my chest and I need to present the gun up and be able to fire immediately. When I'm talking about presenting the gun, there's a certain process that I tell people to follow. This works really, really well. Fingers contact first, palm touches the grip panel. I apply pressure by pulling the fingers to the palm and pushing the palm to the fingers, so it's like this. And then I roll the elbows a little bit just to create some leverage at the top of the pistol. This presentation drill is going to give us an opportunity to practice that, right? This is the first step in our 50-50 series that we'll talk about in a little bit here, but this is very, very good on its own because it gets you used to connecting the neural pathways that are going to make your presentation meet your eyes with the dot or sights aligned. Last thing with the presentation, I want to present more out than up. This up, my grip isn't ready to shoot, and not only do I have a vertical potential error, but I also have a rotational potential error. That's going to cause potential misses, and your grip's not ready to shoot. When I present this way, my grip is ready here. I can shoot full speed here. And now I'm just waiting for the dot to cross my eyes where I'm looking on the target. Simple setup. All we're going to do, we're going to present the gun dry, touch the trigger, bring the gun back in, present the gun up, and fire. Now, let's say you present the gun and it's off. If it's off, you're going to do one more dry repetition. So go up, it's off, up. Okay, we're going to correct it. Okay, it's correct. And then we're going to fire. Bang. The purpose of this is to try to fire as soon as you see the color red or the flash of your sight picture in the center of the target where you're looking. Also, for the purposes of this exercise, the entire A zone of the target is the target. There's no reason to sit here and wait just to fire. If your goal is to deliver accurate first round hits quickly and your aiming zone is this big, utilize that to your advantage, okay? So here we go. Make sure we're loaded up. We're going to present the gun. So I'm going to fingers, palm, pressure, leverage, present the gun. If it's on, then you're going to fire. If it's off, it's not. In my case, this is on. I'm going to come up, fire. Okay? Up, dry. That was a little off. I had to move the firing hand. I had to pull on the firing hand wrist a little bit, so we're going to do another one here. Up, boom. See if we can do a little quicker. So come up, fire. Good. So that's still a good hit. Up, fire. Good. That's still a good hit. Up, fire. Still a good hit. Right? You guys get the idea here. Learn to challenge yourself. Now, beginner shooter, you might have to do it like this. Coming up, real deliberate. But I want to be able to fire as soon as my dot hits where I'm looking on the target. In that case, I'm looking at the letter A or the paster. So that's a great exercise to get you used to presenting the gun. A lot of repetition of presenting the gun. Building your index is critically important to performance in shooting. You want to be able to have the gun show up with the sights or dot aligned where you're looking as much as possible, because that's going to allow you to shoot sooner with it less correction. It'll create less hesitation, give you more confidence. That is a great one to try. Okay guys, so I've gotten someone pressing the trigger aggressively. I've got them presenting the gun efficiently. I've got them holding still to let the bullet leave the barrel and acclimated to recoil. The next thing I'm going to want to do is I'm going to try to allow them to shoot faster. So this exercise is called sewing machine, and the intention is this. If you can imagine what an automatic sewing machine looks like, straight up and straight down, visualize what that might look like in your gun, whether it's dot or sights. Comes back, rises straight up, returns very consistently. Guys, you can't stop recoil from happening, but good mechanics will allow for more predictability, meaning the gun is going to be minimized in how much it rises. It's going to return much more consistently. So this is an exercise with the intention to create that effect. When you guys are watching this video, you'll probably see that the gun looks very much like that. Now, the way this works, we start aimed on target in our grip. We've already been talking about that. We've already been doing that. Now, all we're going to do is we're going to start at a very deliberate pace. Single shot, try to get it to return quickly. As you have that sewing machine image in your head, your conscious mind is going to tell your subconscious to try things. Like your subconscious works on images. By programming it in images, if it sees it, it's going to continue with it. If it doesn't see it, it's going to adjust things subconsciously to help you perform better. Okay? So, start at a very deliberate pace. Once we start to see that, we can start speeding up the rate at which we press the trigger. The gun cycles in 0.06 to 0.07. Most of the higher level shooters can return the gun back on target within 1/10 of a second or so. So, if you have that ability, all you're doing is pressing the trigger faster. Okay, so let's take a look and see how this works. Let's go back to an even more basic understanding of what this is. A single shot returning back to the same point of aim. Let's take a look at that and then we'll get into this exercise. Right, so if I start and I aim on target and I try to shoot with the intention that the dot goes back to the same exact spot, at this point, The gun is waiting on me. I can start ramping up speed as appropriate. What a lot of people do is they let the gun recoil like this. So they let the gun recoil way high. And then they put the gun back on target late. As you start shooting faster, that becomes a problem, right? So get the gun recoiling like a sewing machine, rising up minimally, returning predictably, and now you can start shooting faster at will. Common thing that I hear from people that train with me when we do this exercise is they were able to shoot faster than they ever could while maintaining a pretty good standard of accuracy. Let's take a look at this here. So we're gonna let the timer go off here just to record time. We'll do one that's like a what I would consider more comfortable for me, and then we'll do one where I'm pushing to really like create a lot of problems. So here we go. Aim on target. I'm going to start at a slow pace and I'm going to ramp up progressively as I see what I need to see. Very nice, very comfortable. 10-shot exercise, by the way. First couple rounds are speeding up, and then the rest of it is pretty much at the max speed you're going to be for the string. Now let's talk about what that was. Time-wise, my apologies, this timer counts backwards. Time between shots, 0.41, 0.33, 0.28, 0.24, 0.22, 0.22, 0.21, 0.21, 0.23, right? Very, very consistent gun. If you look at it from the side, it's like a sewing machine. Now, let me try to do it in a way that's going to create a lot more tension. Let me just see what happens. So here we go, aim on target. Now, chances are you're going to see, you may not see it, but my face is going to tense up. Everything's going to get super tense. We're going to see how long we could hold on to this and how fast. Same thing. We might see some mistakes, but so be it. Right? Aim on target. My teeth were gritting. Everything was like real tight. Let's talk about what we have here. Gun probably didn't look all that much different, quite honestly. I could feel myself getting a little more tense, but otherwise, not too bad. So, bringing the ramping up, 0.32, 0.27, and then I just started to go because I already had what I wanted. 0.17, 0.16, 0.16, 0.15, 0.15, 0.15, 0.16. So, and in reality, the group on target really isn't that bad, right? There's a little bit of up and down, especially on the second string when I really start to go harder. Like I could feel my body trying to push and pull. But most of those shots are actually high just because I'm not returning the gun quick enough. But overall, not so bad. Guys, this is an excellent exercise. Back in 2015, before I was even competing, I came up with this exercise as an opportunity to be able to shoot fast and maintain a pretty tight group while I'm shooting. I started by doing it 30 to 50 rounds every session, and it made a difference over a couple months at what I was able to do after that. And to this day, I still find it to be a very effective exercise. I hope you find that useful. And again, get that gun running like a sewing machine. You're going to see your accuracy and speed go up. So, we've taken people through the basics, building their grip, learning how to work the trigger in an aggressive manner that works on their grip and their trigger control. We taught them how to present the gun. We taught them presenting the gun effectively to get quicker first round hits. We taught them what they're doing to control recoil and how to reduce it. We gave them recoil control so that they could shoot fast and accurate. Now, we put it all together with a simple exercise. All we're going to do is we're going to present the gun and fire 5 shots on target. This is a great dry fire exercise too, because you get the opportunity to work on pressing the trigger aggressively and minimizing any movement that happens, but it's a great exercise to practice live as well. So let's do both of them. Dry fire first. Guys, real simple dry fire session. Might be a 5-minute timer just doing this. If you do this a couple times a week, honestly, your grip and your shooting is probably going to get a lot better just from doing that. So, aiming on target, present the gun. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? The goal is to have 0 movement and then try to press the trigger harder, faster. Now, doing it live, load up the gun here. We can use a timer if you want to, but you don't necessarily have to. If you have it though, might as well use it. So on the beep, we're going to present the gun and we're going to fire 5 shots. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Counting as I'm doing it. Here we go. Do it again. So the split times there, 0.19, 0.18, 0.17, 0.21, right? So the sewing machine lends itself very well into this exercise where we're starting to combine presenting the gun effectively, getting that first round hit, and managing recoil at the same time. Guys, real effective session for someone who's newer trying to develop their skills, or for someone who's trying to revisit their fundamentals and come back to it. I hope you guys get a chance to try this, and I hope you guys have some comments and questions below. Thanks for watching.